Now they're throwing in some variables. When you take the square root of something with an exponent, if you have an even exponent, it is a perfect square. The square root of something with an even exponent, you do half of. So, forgetting that that 12 is there for a minute, if I'm just doing the square root of u to the 10th, all I'm doing is doing half of that and taking it out of the square root. The square root of u to the 10th is u to the 5th, because if I take u to the 5th times u to the 5th, I add my exponents, and 5 plus 5 is 10. So, we are going to simplify something where the front number is not necessarily a perfect square, but for now, the variable will be. So when I simplify this, I think about the square root of 12. 12 is not a perfect square, so I want to factor it. I want to pick out my biggest perfect square that goes into 12. What times what should I use for 12? 4 times 3, right? So I'm just going to write it 4 times 3 times u to the 10th. Now I'm going to take out my perfect squares. This time I have two perfect squares, the 4 and the u to the 10th. So the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of our u to the 10th is
2.
We just did it over here. U to the 5th, half of 10 is 5. I can't do anything with this 3, so that has to stay underneath the square root. So I get 2u to the 5th square root of 3 for my answer. So on number 14 here, we're going to do the square root of 28v to the 8th. 28 is not a perfect square. It's not a number on our list. What's the biggest perfect square that divides into 28?
I'd say 7,
But 7 is not a perfect square.
no. 4 then.
4. Yes, 4 is
Well,
what we
that's
want to
useful.
use. The 7 happens to be with the 4 because 4 times 7 is 28, but 4 is our perfect square. So we have 4 times 7, and then we still have times the v to the 8th power. Now we have to take out the square roots of our perfect squares. 4 is a perfect square. The square root of 4 is 2. V to the 8th will also be a perfect square. The square root of v to the 8th would be v to what power?
4.
4, exactly. Half of 8 is 4. The 7, can't do anything with that guy. He's not a perfect square, so he's going to stay under the square root sign. So we get 2v to the 4th square root of 7.
I haven't did these, so these must be coming up, huh?
Yes, these maybe probably are at closer to the end of your pie chart, or the end of your section. So number 15 here, we want to do 18w to the 4th. The 18 again is not a perfect square, but we can factor it. What should we factor 18 into?
No?
It's got to be a number that's a perfect square. So 16 doesn't go into 18, but 9 does, right? So 9 times 2 is 18. And then we have the w to the 4th. So we want to take out our perfect squares. What can we take out of there?
9.
The square root of 9 is 3. What else can we take out of there?
0. W4.
W to the 4, and the square root of W to the 4th is
2.
W to the 2nd. And the 2, can't do anything with him. He stays under the square root. So 3W squared square root of 2 is your answer.
So your problems are always going to be like that? Because I'm thinking you could do something with the 2.
No, you can't do anything with the 2.
Okay.
Because the only factors of 2 are 1 times 2.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing you can do with it. You can take the square root of 1 all day. It's still 1.
Okay.
So, can't do anything else with that.